The Samsung Galaxy S25 series is finally officially launched. I got a first-hand look and here's everything you need to know. Hello guys, today we are going to break down all the key differences to help you decide which one might be right for you. As expected, there are three new Samsung Galaxy S devices: the Samsung Galaxy S25, S25 Plus, and S25 Ultra. Now in terms of design, the S25 and S25 Plus look a lot like the S24 and S24 Plus. The only difference is that the camera rings are a bit thicker. The biggest visual change comes in the S25 Ultra, which now has flat sides and curved corners. We no longer have the square look we got from the previous Ultra devices, but the curved corners are not as curved as the S25 and S25 Plus. These are the slimmest SUVs we have ever seen. They are all about 0.4 mm thinner than the previous generation, and they are all lighter, so the S25 is about 5 grams lighter compared to the S24. The S25 Plus is about 6 grams lighter than the S24 Plus, and the S25 Ultra is about 14 grams lighter than the S24 Ultra, so a pretty significant weight reduction. Now all the devices have IP68 water and dust resistance. The S25 and S25 Plus have the same build materials, so you have Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the front and back, then you have aluminum armor, and titanium is reserved for the S25 Ultra. A blue, black, a coral red, as well as a pink gold. Now with the S25 Ultra, all of the colors are called titanium, so we have got a titanium silver blue, titanium white silver, a titanium gray, as well as a titanium black. Now all of these do have a natural titanium frame, so it's just the back that has the color, but Samsung do have three exclusive colors on Samsung.com: a titanium pink gold, a titanium jade green, as well as a beautiful titanium jet black. Samsung exclusive colors to have color matched frames, which I think look better. Now the S25 Ultra at the back still has Gorilla Glass Fuse 2, but on the front we now have Gorilla Armor 2, so with the S24 Ultra we saw the introduction of Gorilla Armor, which is anti-reflective. Now Gorilla Armor 2 does have the next generation of DX anti-reflective, whatever that means, but testing them side by side, the S24 Ultra and the S25 Ultra, when it comes to the anti-reflective, they seem to be quite similar in my hands on testing, but Gorilla Armor 2 is supposed to be 29% more resistant to fractures and 60% less likely to need screen damage repair. Now Samsung is using lots of recycled materials for the builds of the S25 series, with up to 50% recycled cobalt in the batteries, and that is sourced from old Galaxy devices, which is amazing. Now the 25 Ultra does have the embedded S Pen, but there is some bad news, so the S Pen is going to work as normal on the screen, but it no longer has Bluetooth functionality, so you are not going to be able to use it as a remote clicker or a remote trigger for your camera. Now this is something that I am sure a lot of people are going to be disappointed about. Why have they not included this? I am not sure. They have not given me a specific reason, but I am assuming because the Bluetooth S Pen does need more weight because of the battery and wireless charging, and to keep the weight down of the S25 Ultra series. That may be one of the reasons. I don't know. Now for the displays, all of the displays have AMOLED technology as expected, with an adaptive refresh rate, so up to 120 Hz, and also the same peak brightness, 2600 nits. The screen sizes for the S25 and the S25 Plus remain the same, so 6.2 and 6.7, and we have got a full HD Plus resolution on the S25 and up to a Quad HD Plus resolution on the S25 Plus. Now the S25 Ultra does get a slightly larger display compared to last year, so it is 6.9 and up from 6.8 in, and that is thanks to the slimmer bezels we have got. around a 15% reduction in bezels, and they are symmetrical. The display does look beautiful in my first impressions. Let's talk about performance. So good news for all Samsung Galaxy S25 series devices worldwide will be powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Elite. For Galaxy 4, Galaxy means it is customized for Samsung, so it is slightly overclocked and has additional features, and all devices in the S25 series, S25, S25 Plus, and S25 Ultra come with 12 GB of 5x DDR-LP RAM, plus 8 GB for the base model. The S25 also benefits from an additional storage option. So we have 128 to 56 and also 512 GB. The S15 Plus, as we had last year, has 256 or 512 GB. The S25 Ultra has 256, 512, and also a 1 TB option. All devices now have a larger vapor chamber compared to the last. Last year, the S25 and S25 Plus had a 15% larger vapor chamber. The S25 Ultra had a 40% larger vapor chamber, and we have a custom thermal interface material for additional thermal efficiency. Now, in terms of the improvement for the CPU, up to a 30% improvement, for the GPU a 40%, and it is also for Galaxy, especially the S25 Ultra. I think it's going to be one of the best performing devices out there for the months coming now for the camera. So for the S25 and the S25 Plus, the camera hardware remains pretty much the same. So we have got a 12 megapixel selfie camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, 50 megapixel primary camera, as well as a 10 megapixel telephoto camera, which is going to give you 3 times optical zoom up to 30 times space zoom. Now we do have the new image signal processor that is on the Snapdragon 8 Elite, including a new image signal processor for the selfie camera, so that should give you improved selfies. Now for the S25 Ultra, most of camera hardware remains the same apart from one big improvement. So we have a 12 megapixel selfie camera again with that new ISP, a 200 megapixel primary camera, a 10 megapixel camera with 3 times telephoto zoom, a 15 megapixel camera with 5 times optical zoom up to 10 times lossless zoom, and all the way up to 100 times space zoom. But the new camera we have is the ultra wide camera, which is now 50 megapixels, and it's also got an increase in sensor size, which gives you around a 34% improvement in brightness, and it also gives you 4 times greater detail for macro shots. And a big improvement this new ultra wide camera brings is that because it is now 50 megapixels, it can shoot in 8,000 up to 30 frames a second. So you now have 8,000 from the ultra-wide camera, the primary camera, as well as that 5x zoom camera. Now there is a new Pro Visual Engine as well as a custom STF, which is a spatial temporal filter, which is exclusive for Samsung using the Snapdragon 8 Elite. We will see how much of a difference all of this stuff makes. Portraits are supposed to be improved. They are supposed to be more natural. They've got an object we are as well as a lighter aware system. Videos will be recorded at 10-bit HDR as standard, and you can turn this off. This will be interesting in terms of compatibility, and they should give you up to 4 times more dynamic range. There is now Galaxy Journal available, so you can shoot in Journal if you are in Pro mode, and there is going to be an update to the Expert RAW feature that will give you a virtual aperture, and you can change the aperture of your images. Now guys, as always, we're going to work on an epic comparison in the super safe style of the S25 Ultra against the competition. If you want to see that first, you know what to do. Subscribe and hit the bell icon on each notification so you don't miss it. Now let's talk about the software. So the S25 series devices come with Android 15 with One UI 7. Now, Samsung has promised 7 generations of software updates and 7 years of security updates, which is ahead of the game, and Google is matching this software promise, which is amazing. And of course, the software is built from the ground up with Galaxy AI and mine. Now there are many AI features, and I will try to cover as many as possible for you. So we talked a little about the camera, and when recording video, you will have the option to erase the audio. This will work on the device and will allow you to improve the speaker sound and minimize background noise such as music, wind, nature, crowd noise. It is a feature that we have seen similar iterations on Google devices and even iPhones. So it will be interesting to see how this compares. There are also some improvements in AI photo editing, so we've got an improved generative edit function and it's more accurate in removing objects and people from your images. It is just not going to paint over it, it's going to be a lot more accurate, and testing this out, removing me completely from this picture, it actually did a pretty good job. Portrait Studio is supposed to be improved and it can now also function on device, which makes it faster. Live translation, where you can translate when you're with the interpreter or when you're communicating. Now it's gone from 16 to 20 languages. Navigation assistance, which was one of my favorite features in these S24 series. It is so handy to summarize web pages, but now as well as summarizing and translating web pages, the new feature is that it can read things out aloud. The Now bar, which you may have seen on some of the early Beta 1 UI updates, this is kind of like the Dynamic Island on an iPhone, but it's a lot more reachable cause it's towards the bottom, and this gives you fast access from the lock screen, and you can manage your most used apps and control without swiping or launching any of the full apps. So for instance, if you've got football scores, maybe you're following some directions or you have a timer, and Samsung is also working with lots of third-party apps such as Just Eat as well as airlines, so you can see those updates there. In the Now bar, circle to search has also been improved with enhanced recognition, so it can search text, images as well as sound within videos that are playing on the device. So we've all used Shazam and the likes, where something is playing and you want to find out what that music is, but now you are going to be able to do it while something is playing on device. And Samsung has bought Gemini and Bixby together almost to give you much more of a personalized AI experience with a conversational search experience with natural language, so you can just say things like make my text more visible or switch off the always on display, and it's going to be able to go into the settings and do that for you thanks to the Bixby part of it. There are also multimodal capabilities, so you can just press and hold the power button, activate Gemini and Bixby, and then you can say things like get me the schedule for my favorite baseball team this season, add it to my calendar, and then text it to my best friend, for instance, and it is going to be able to do that all together. There is a new AI feature called Now Brief, and this is essentially reliable assistant. It can give you a summary of your sleep from your Ring, for example. It can give you the weather forecast, it can schedule reminders, and it can also give you suggestions based on routines, so your personal habits, like you might be driving at this particular time, or if you have got a flight coming up, then it can tell you should probably leave at this time by looking at traffic information. So lots of AI features. S25 will be absolutely fine for most people, but if you do want a larger device with that battery life, with that high resolution display, then the S25 Plus may be the one for you. But if you do want the best of the best, you want the spend without the Bluetooth functionality, Gorilla Armor to the improved cameras as well as that ultra wide camera and that telephoto camera, then the S25 Ultra might be the one for you. The good news this year is all of the devices do have the 8 Elite, so in terms of performance, they are all going to be right up there anyway. What do you guys think? Which one of these devices will you be going to buy? Please drop me a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Please subscribe and hit that bell icon if you have not already. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do smash that like button for me. Thanks for watching. See you next time.